This lesson is a continuation from the last lecture. In the last lecture, we connected ESP8266 board to a Wi-Fi network and fetched its IP address. Here, we're going to be learning how to use the ESP8266 board as a web server. First, let's have a look at the NodeMCU documentation. Go to NodeMCU.readthedocs.io and search for the net.createServer function and click on it. This function has two parameters, type and timeout. As shown under parameters, type could be TCP or UDP. Timeout is defined in seconds. Let's go back to the code from where we left off in the last lesson. Type net.createServer, net.tcp, 30 at the end of the code and assign it to the variable named SRV. With the ESP8266 development board, we can only have one TCP server. If we create a second TCP server, it will cause an error. To avoid the second server error, we'll add an if statement around the create server to check if there is an existing TCP server. Now that the variable SRV is representing the TCP server, we will work on this variable. Let's check out the documentation for server listen real quick. Listen is a function of net.server. Listen function has three parameters. The first one is port number, which we will use the port number 80. The second is the IP address, which can be omitted. The last one is a function that takes net.socket as its parameter. Net.socket is not an embedded module, and we can use any variable name to define it. Let's go back to our code. We need to write srv listen. Here, we'll use the port number 80, not use second parameter IP address, and use a function in which we will pass the variable with the name conn as the parameter. As we reviewed, conn represents net.socket. Next, we will write conn:on. On is another function of net. As you can see in the documentation, net.socket_on has two parameters, event and function. The event parameter could be connection, reconnection, disconnection, receive, or sent. The receive and sent parameters will be used in this lesson. The second parameter is the function, and its first parameter of the call is the socket. As you can see in the yellow box on the screen, if event is receive, the second parameter is the received data as string, and if event is disconnection or reconnection, the second parameter is error code. So in the case of receive event, there will be two parameters, netsocket and the received data as a string. Let's go back to the code. Add two parameters for the on function. The first one is receive. The second one is the function. As we reviewed, because the event is receive, the function needs the second parameter string. Write the code as shown in the picture. Here, we are using the function again, this time for a different event, sent. In case of sent, we just need to pass the net.socket for the parameter of the function, and need to close the socket. Then, end the listen function. We're ready to run the program now. Click on the Save to ESP button to transfer and execute the program. It will wait for 2 seconds and give us the IP address. In my case, the IP address I got is 172.16.1.44. Copy the IP address and paste it in the web browser. You will be able to see the text web server sent by the web server on ESP8266 using the send function. The send function also allows the use of HTML code. Let's go back to the code and add HTML tags to the text. Here, I added the H and font tag to change the size and color of the text web server. Let's click on the Save to ESP button and go back to the browser to view the changes. As you can see, the size and color of the text web server has changed. We have successfully connected ESP8266 to a Wi-Fi network, created a web server, and sent and received data via web browser. In the next lesson, we will learn about request. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section. Thank you.